All right, we will begin in about a minute. Our live stream is now live, so if you have any friends on Facebook who want to watch along with us, please invite them to do so. All right, I'd like to thank everybody. I see people joining on other social media sites. Thank you for people who joined the Zoom. I'm going to begin with a quick intro and I'm going to pass over the show to our presenter. So today we have the award-winning poet, storyteller, Ebony Stewart. She has a powerful voice and a drive to make an impact. She is a woman of many talents and she wears the hats of a community activist, sexual health advocate, and a facilitator. In addition to being an international touring poet and performance artist, Ebony is also a published author and a Woman of the World Slam champion. Her work speaks to a Black experience with emphasis in gender, sexuality, womanhood, and race, and with the hopes to be relatable, remove shame, heal minds, and encourage dialogue, and inspire folks in marginalized communities. So without further ado, I present you Ebony Stewart.
Thank you, Benny. You're so sweet. Like Benny actually just got that like maybe 5 minutes ago. And so like it's pretty tough to like read something for the first time. Anyways, my name is Ebony Stewart. Thank you all so much for joining me. I don't really mind if you keep your cameras off. I get it. Like I was wanted by the police before too, like or whatever. Also, I just want to make sure that you all know that like I want this to be an interactive situation. So those of you who are on different social medias, what Benny is going to do is just going to funnel your questions or your responses into the chat here in Zoom, the Zoomiverse for me. But those of you who are already here with us, I just hope that you will, kind of keep it moving and interact with me because Zoom is weird, y'all. Like, I don't know, like this whole social media thing, performance, like the virtual universe, is not my favorite, but it's a part of like whatever we're doing now. So that's just what it is now. Okay, whatever. Moving on, friends. So there's this thing called echo what you heard. No matter what social media you're using, if something is said that resonates with you, if you could just like put it in the chat or be like yes or no or whatever. When I'm talking to you, I'm actually talking to you. So like I just said, don't leave me hanging, right? And this thing is going to go by really quick, 45 like minutes goes by dumb quick. I didn't ask Benny anything about language. So Benny, throw something in the chat to let me know because I forgot to ask you about that. And I don't think I'm going to say anything crazy or reckless, but it's a situation, child. Sometimes people be thinking that something is risque, and I'll be like, really? You haven't heard anything worse than that? Anywho, so I'm just gonna like converse with you all through poetry and questions, and then also give you an opportunity to do a Q&A as well. So there's that. I'll put that in the chat, and then it'll be shared for those of you who are on different social medias as well. What this is the first question, just to see where we at. What is something that you used to do as a kid or when you were younger, that people thought was like weird or different or quirky? Like what's something that you used to do as a kid that people thought was weird or different or quirky, just in general, whatever it is? I'll wait. Because I also know that there's this thing about like typing that's our brains don't go as fast as our fingers sometimes, or our fingers don't go as fast as our brains. So I get it. Watching anime, that was weird. I do that now. People doing that now. That's not weird. Okay, you don't want to share with us your weird little thing. Okay. To the topic of sex, it would be sexually pressuring yourself. Oh, okay. No, we're not even talking about sex yet. We're just talking about it just in general. Just like how we live, how we get it, how we live, right? Um, Not necessarily talking about sex. I know, like they set it up to where they made you think that this whole thing is just going to be about sex, but sex is more than just the plumbing, right? And so I want you all to make sure that you're comfortable first before we just get into that. So this is just something that you used to do. For instance, I know some people who used to eat chalk when they was a kid. Now, that might be what's wrong with them in the present day, but that's something weird or different or quirky that they used to do as a kid, right? Maybe they still do it now. I don't know. I haven't checked in. Maybe I should check in. But what is something weird or different or quirky that you used to do as a kid? What is something? I'm gonna wait. Oh my goodness. Live action role play. I think that that makes for a vast imagination. Like, I bet your imagination is really, really grand. So LARPing. I love it. Okay, all right, okay. What else? What else we got? Like I said, this thing's gonna be interactive. So, and I'm like a former teacher, y'all. So what I can tell you is that my patience and waiting is grand. So, like I said, I want to make sure that it's interactive and it's something that we all can actually enjoy, meaning enjoyable for me, not just for y'all. Friends. What is something that you used to do? LARPing. LARPing. I kind of low key want to look up LARPing. I kind of want to look it up and just be like, what is this? So somebody want to come back and tell me about LARPing and what that means? Let's see. I used to eat onions raw. Oh my gosh. How, friend? What kind of onions and why? Oh my goodness. That's so different. Yes. Yeah, okay. Well, it's very interesting, this feedback. Yes, I'm curious about a lot of things. I really want to know what LARPing is still. And also I'm like, how is you just eating onions out here raw? Like, oh my gosh. But still the live action role play lets me know that somebody has a grand imagination. So I always have a hard time writing about myself. It's easier to tell someone else's story, and I'm still trying to convince my shadow that it chose me for a reason. When I was a little girl, my first word was no. I bit people and stopped eating and talking at 10 p.m. I grew breasts before I knew what to do with them. See, I knew. There would be so many times I want to say yes and mean it. Biting gave me a head start at getting back at people. And since I asked so many questions, by 10 o'clock, I was exhausted. My breast reminded me that I was a part of some second class citizenship in a world of dicks every time. Johnny Hart will pull my bra strap out, which breast came with the receipt. Being a young woman is so hard. I'm the youngest of three, so people naturally love me. I'm awkward at accepting compliments. I get all embarrassed in my head, and the only thing I could think to come up with is thank you or thank you so much. Translation, I'm still learning how to love myself. I've had the same best friend since I started liking people. One time, when I was 12, I had a whole gallon of ice cream. My mom had to straw feed me Sprite and pat me on the back until I burped. My mother can fix anything. Her dimples are where gods go to learn agape. I've downgraded to popcorn. The first boy I ever loved close enough to forever broke my heart. My favorite color used to be pink until the same boy that was quicker than my innocence separated the purest parts of me I had left. So now I don't do favorites. But everyone who gets me deep turns red. I've been told I'm an amazing kisser, and on a platonic level, I give really great hugs. I use all of my emotions during contact because I never know when I'll be touched again, and the OCD doesn't help. Always checking and rechecking, counting all my fingers in my head with my lips right now. In case you're wondering what number word we're on in this poem, 364 and counting. I have a stitched spine with a book of poems keeping me upright. There was a time when my parents loved each other for no other reason than to be the color black. I've never met those people. I was the last thing they loved collectively. I know a father who loved music and a mother who cried like a whisper because her lover started treating her like the bass and the snare drum. When people ask why I love the way I do, I say I don't know nothing but the 808. I speak in clouds, in concrete, Southern bred, Jamaican tongue around the bullets in my throat, ready to go, but, the same little girl that blacks out when she gets angry is destroyer of all things. My arms be like family and the first thing that ever loved you back. And I know it sounds like I'm bipolar, but I'm not. Okay, maybe a little bit, but it's to be expected. When you have heaven and hell in your veins, I speak in thunder and lightning, bring brass knuckles and fist fights. I knew heart when she met pain, a jungle on my tonsils, the same little girl that ran out of paper and started writing on walls when the night collapsed into my chest. Poetry saved my life. 610 and counting. I used to think I could change people by squinting my eyes. Now I just use my words and my side eye. I'm still learning how to love people for who they are because I know being transparent isn't easy. Trust me, I know. Who is y'all's relationship goals? Who is y'all's relationship goals? I just want you to put it in the chat, right? Because here's the thing, we learn a lot of different ways about how to love or how to be in relationships from our parents and our caregivers. And for me, like growing up, well, at least until I was 8, I saw like a vast amount of trauma and traumatic things between my parents. My dad was really abusive to my mom. And so you grow up thinking that maybe that is how it's supposed to be. And then when my mom left my dad and took us with her, she was just a single parent, right? And she like got married here and there, but my mom is very much so like, if they not doing you right or don't treat you right, you ain't gotta stay. So I didn't really get to see a lot of healthy, strong, good relationships, right? I got to see my mom as like this independent individual. And then it translates to me as a grown-up coming into themselves like, I'm a strong, independent Black woman. I could do what I want, that kind of thing. So just saying, right? So oh, someone said that they were collecting Pokemon cards and, it's popular again. This is true. This is true. They also had the movie, which I don't know how y'all felt about that Pokemon movie, but I thought it was weird. Anyway, and so to find someone to be goofy with, oh my goodness, person, thank you so much for saying that, because a lot of times people leave that out. Like all of the things that you find to be healthy, like someone being trustworthy, someone being loyal, they being supportive, respectful, but that piece about them being funny or having a sense of humor oftentimes is left out. And I'm just like, yo, so y'all want somebody who don't make you laugh? Why? Oh my God. So relationship goals would be in a happy relationship where loyalty is the foundation. Very good. I like that. I like that. Who is your relationship goals like couple though? Who is the couple that's like, that's it? If I had something to model my stuff after, this would be them. Of course, it could be your parents, or your caregivers that you witnessed, your grandparents. But for me, I look at Sierra and Russell Wilson, and I'm kind of like, y'all are such a dreamy ass couple. I mess with them. I like them a lot. I don't know what's really going on in their life, right? Like they could be having the worst time, but they don't look like it. They genuinely look like they're happy. And the tricky thing about that, bye future. Yes, bye future, down. The tricky thing about like relationships looking like they're like everything is fine is that oftentimes we know that they're not. And so I'm praying to the heavens and the universe, right? That Sierra and Russell probably have their things, right? But that it's overall or in general like a healthy relationship. Let's see. Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively. Yeah, okay. I might have to. Okay, I could see that. I could see that. They are cute. It's also easier when it's a cute couple and they just look like they gel, like they mesh together. Mom and dad for sure. How lucky. Because like I said, not a lot of people have a good perspective or outlook when it comes to their parents being the goal, right? Someone who plays seduction well. Ooh, someone who plays seduction well. Tell me what this means. Someone who plays seduction well. I don't know. I feel like we can go everywhere and anywhere, but I just want like a little bit more. Just give me a little bit more of what that could possibly mean, right? Who are some other relationship goals, people, couples, and then also like relationship goals that you have for yourself, right? So I'm still waiting on this, someone who plays the seduction well. Like, what does that mean? Tell us, because some people might need assistance in that area, like me. Does someone is me? I want to know. What exactly does that mean? So a little bit more about like a background, right? I don't know what your majors are, so you're welcome to throw those in the chat for sure. So we can know and have a well vast knowledge. But I was like, when I was in undergrad, I wanted to be everything, literally everything. And do you know that they will just let you go to school? Yeah, they'll just let you keep going. They don't care. But the way that my student loans was set up, the number was getting very, very large. And so I ended up finishing with English and communication studies. And I taught ninth grade English for a little while. And then I transitioned into teaching sexual health to sixth and seventh grade. You welcome. So in that, I'm also curious, like with your majors or what you're going to school for, I'm also curious of what type of sexual health education did you get growing up? Let me go back to the chat. We have ketchup and mustard have stood the test of time. But I would say my parents, yo, for real. So I'm in Texas. I'm from Houston, Texas to be exact. But we also have a thing out here, or a restaurant out here called Whataburger. So if you don't know anything about this place, like it's kind of like a staple burger spot chain in Texas. And we have a thing in the stores also that is sold called spicy Whataburger ketchup. And so when you mix the spicy ketchup with the mustard, I feel like that, you're right. That's the relationship. That's the relationship. That's it. Okay, so someone is double majoring in communication and journalism. Bless you. So the double major, I've been there, and it's stressful, gonna stress you out. I feel like I'm just say stressful and you're gonna know what I mean, but like not, it's doable, but still okay, you get it. You know what I'm saying. Another couple, Beyonce and Jay-Z. Here's my thing with Beyonce and Jay-Z. Y'all know I really mess with both of them, right? Like individually, I mess with them, and I'm glad that they're in a place now. But I have like two folds of thinking, right? I'm kind of like, dang, like he cheated on her or whatever. He cheated on Beyonce. Jay-Z cheated on Beyonce. You was not that cute, sir. So I have like that whole thing, like that was a public thing that happened. And I feel like celebrities oftentimes don't get to have, privacy, right? And so something happens and it all like, but the smart thing about it was that they each individually came out with their own album. So now I'm kind of also like, did y'all just do that? Did he really cheat on you? Or did y'all just do that for, anywho, I don't know. Anyway, so someone said that they have tried the Whataburger spicy. Just come on down to Texas and we'll get you hooked up. Okay, we'll take you to 3 different places. We're gonna take you to Whataburger. We're gonna take you to Buc-ee's, which is the mall that has like gas, but it have other stuff in there. It's a gas station, but it's a mall. And then we'll also take you to HEB, because here everything's better. And I really be feeling bad for other places that don't have HEB because. Okay, let's see. Is it Sacha Baron Cohen and Isla Fisher? Okay, as a couple, I could see that. Maybe I can't, because I don't know if I've seen enough of them, right? But I respect that. So here's what I'll do. I'm going to share my screen. Before I share my screen to show you a poem about what it was like to talk to my 6th grade boys, I'm also going to put a, let's see if I can find it. Okay. So I'm going to put a anonymous question form in there because I don't get to teach sexual health anymore. This is what I do. This is my full-time job now. And I really miss the anonymous questions. So what I've done is gone across the country with these particular poems and set up in discussion, and then do the anonymous box question box, right? And usually if we were in person, there would be an actual box, there would be paper, and you would put it in there and I would read it and your name wouldn't be on it, right? We had to figure it out virtually because that's the world we're living in this time. So I'm going to submit a form to you all, and you all can submit your responses or ask your questions. So you can ask me about sex, relationships, body image, dating. And if you got that all figured out, you could just ask me about myself. Okay. So I'm going to throw that in the chat, and then they're going to share it with you on the different platforms. And you can go there to ask questions. I'm going to continue with my set. And then at the end, I'm going to answer as many questions as as I can that came in, right? Seduction is a form of deception, but people want to be led astray. Don Juan, Casanova, and the greatest of them all, Cleopatra, played it well. Okay. I felt like that was a little bit of a better rap. I could have turned that into something, but no, I see what you're saying. No, I get you. I get you. There's also this idea that that people want somebody with that. It made me think of people want like a Barbie and a bad bitch, and it's like really difficult sometimes for people to do, right? Because sometimes people just want to be themselves. Can I just say a sidebar? There is a gnat in my studio right now, and I hope y'all don't mind me being real, but why? Why are gnats? What does that even mean? Is it okay? Anyway, I'm gonna share my screen, and then give you all the opportunity to just watch for a second and give me a break from talking. Anonymous box questions a 6th grade boys group asked their sex education teacher. Miss Ebony, if you don't have a condom, can you use a plastic bag? No. Plastic bags won't protect you from STDs or prevent pregnancy. Miss Ebony, can a girl get pregnant if I put my pita in her ear? What? No. That was an episode from Family Guy. This is real life, and in this class, we will only use medically correct terms. What's another word for balls? Testicles. Miss Ebony, why do girls scream when they have sex, and what if the bed breaks? Men and women make noises as a pleasurable response, and in most cases, this is normal and okay, and if the bed is not sturdy, it could break, but hopefully no one gets hurt. I am trained. To answer these questions. But sometimes I want to say, if there's a girl who will allow you to use a plastic bag inside her, this is not the girl for you. Ejaculating into someone, anyone's ear, is gross and confusing, because why would you want to do that? You could say nuts, teabag, sack, beans, boys, friends, but who the hell is Peter? And not all women scream because not all of us need to. The question you should be more concerned with is, how will I know if she's faking it or not? But none of the above have to do with the bed breaking. But then there are questions. Put into the box as true as Tim's name, admits it's a star with print, as small as the signature of a gnat, evenly folded to show me how careful I have to be in answering his questions. Why? Does liking the color pink make me gay? And if I am, is it bad? And I immediately wanted to show him how to become camouflage, how to give up his shadow and become a closet and say they have picket signs and slanderous tongues shaped like swords of malice, that we all have a certain prejudice bully inside us. You, boy, must not believe in being outcasted in blue. Blue is more fitting for the sinking emotions you might feel, or the lifespan of your bruises that haven't quite healed yet, or the color of your iris before a piece of you turned gray. Tim, with all 206 bones, 17 of them reaching for me, and his eyes looks at me the way he does hope, and the ability to love outside of himself is waiting for an answer. So I say, you could be a pink Spider-Man if you want to. A bow tie, a cupcake with pink insides, as long as your heartbeat, preference, and colors have to do with emotion, so you should do what feels good. You gotta be willing to be brave enough to be the only one who knows you're afraid. Bad is hiding inside yourself. Bad is someone judging what they don't understand and which direction your heart goes, when love is supposed to be a good thing that you shouldn't have to control. Use a cookie cutter to recreate that love can be a person, place, or thing in any emotion. You can wrap around that special person that makes your heart explode. When they walk into a room, there is no skull and crossbones over your heart. You are a good thing that somebody be dying to get next to. And there's no shame in that. We all right? We still feeling good? So hopefully everybody's feeling okay. I saw that we got some questions in, so that's really dope. Just sit tight. We'll get to them towards the end of the set. This is my next question that I have for you all, right? What are some pickup lines that you've heard and or have used? What is the pickup line that someone has used to say to you to get your attention, to get your number? Did they slide in your DMs? What they say? How did they try to grab your attention? It don't matter if you was like feeling it or not, or if you liked it or not, right? I'm just very curious. What is it that someone said? What is the pickup line? Can you share that with me? Throw it in the chat. If you're on another you know, social media something, they'll just copy and paste it and put it in this one so I could see. But what is a pickup line that you've heard and or have used? I know some of y'all out there on Tinder. Oh, we got one. Okay, so I was at the gym once, and when I was walking out, a guy said, "Hey, I think you dropped your water bottle." The catch was I didn't even have a water bottle, sir. I mean, it's sweet because I bet they just felt like they needed to say something, which is a testament to you because you must have captivated them, which is really cute, right? At least they didn't say anything crazy, but also you got to be careful because that means that they might be a little bit of a liar, okay? Like a little. Okay, just a little, just a little bit, just a little bit tall tale, a little small lie that they when they need to get themselves in or out of situations. I don't know, but that might be something. Anything else? Anything else? Okay, so what kind of men do you like? One domestic and one far. What? May West, 1940s. You know what? I can actually agree with May West on that one. I feel like I could definitely get with that. Okay. What is it Frida? Well, she had like her and her husband, I don't even think lived in the same house. They lived in houses next door to each other. I'm all for that kind of thinking. You know what I mean? Like you have your space, I have my space, but my space is an old thing. We don't use it anymore. Um, So we have to all be like in the same space or find different spaces to be a part of. What other pickup lines have you heard and or have used? What are the pickup lines? What do people say to try to get your attention when they slide in your DMs? What exactly is being said? I know people have said lots of things to me in my DMs. So I'm just curious. What are people saying? How do you get someone's attention? How are you like, you know? I mean, like the dude that lied and was like they about the water bottle situation. That was actually a light pickup line. Like that was nice, right? We've heard some things that are also kind of like catcalling, right? Or something that's really demeaning, or if you don't give the person the attention, or don't look their way, they call you out your name or be disrespectful, right? So I was flirting with someone one time, just this one time or whatever. And I was giving them everything I had, right? And they were like, "Wait, are you flirting with me?" And I was like, "Yes." Because obviously they didn't appreciate my efforts. But I don't know if it's any writers out there, anybody who's an artist and just enjoys writing as a hobby. But you know how it is when you experience the thing and then you go home and you write about the thing it is that you experienced, right? And so because I felt like my pickup lines was so good, okay, that I turned them into a poem. Now you're welcome to use any of these pickup lines if you like. If it works, just quote the poet. And if it doesn't work, then you didn't do it right. I don't know. Okay. So you see them at Walmart, Target, Wawa. I don't know where you people are, but you see them and you be like, get back over here with my heart. You see, you smell good. What is that? Forever. That's actually my one though. Like seriously, unless they don't smell good, and then it's weird. You make me want to eat my words and spit out my spine. I'd abandon all my awful for you, baby. Can I call you baby? No. Okay. Um, you got me blushing in rainbows. You got me wanting to share the other half of my sandwich. If I was a spider, I'd web for you, have a million your babies, and then eat you. Okay. If I were a caterpillar, I'd chew through everything just to become a butterfly in your stomach. a chrysalis. I break through all this hard for you. I was an actress once, a lion tamer, a magician. I stopped planning my escape for you. Stop bad-mouthing love. Start believing that love is in me and found more than you. You make me want to figure out how much wood could a woodchuck chuck? If a woodchuck could chuck wood when I'm with you, I know the things that hurt don't have to. Us survivor women know how to build walls and make our bodies a fort, know how to be survivors of war, our expectoration, a constant state of revolution. Won't you rise with me? Won't you hip hop and jazzy? Won't you be like totally punk rock and scream, I love you with me when I'm with you? My pulse is a hummingbird. My body a parachute, reminding me that we were not meant to live alone, nor is my heart remote from saving. Can we go through seasons together? So what if November comes, I still won't leave or change? So what if my milkshake brings all the boys to the yard? Any Khalees fans out there? It'd be like, I could teach you, but I have to charge. You make my heart an adobe home. Even when they try to earthquake us loose, I'll be mud brick and hold strong. You in a dream I'm having 100 years from now. You keep saying you'll be you and allow me to call you mine. Yo, I squeeze your pimples and shave your back for you, son, because that's love. Okay. And some of y'all like, that's gross, sis. You went too far. And that might be why you by yourself right there. Because you're a little selfish. You remind me there are easier ways to do things. I just never took them. I forget to be afraid when I'm with you. So I'm saying, like, can we be an item or a pair and like share space together and stuff? No? Okay. People are always like, why does it end like that? And I'm like, well, because I was giving this person everything. And they were like, wait, are you flirting with me? But also it ends like that because anything more from me would have been like harassment, right? Like, what are you doing? It would have been harassment. And you want your yeses. You want the yeses that someone said yes because they wanted to say yes, not because you wore them down or because they were scared or because just so you could get out of their face, right? You want the yeses that are really the yes. And I was reading up about like consent as a whole. And I'm curious, what do you all like? What's your definition of consent? What do you think of when you hear the word consent? What happens? Throw it in the chat. I'm curious. What are some things that you think of when you hear the word consent, especially when it comes to like relationships and dating, or just your own personal self? What does that mean? Throw it in the chat. Happiness, excitement. Okay. All right. Definitely. No means no. Sober affirmative, yes. I see you. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. If a person is intoxicated or inebriated in any kind of particular way, they can't say yes. You should just might as well just chalk it up to a no. The fact that they are intoxicated or they're inebriated or they're not in their right mind to say yes and actually mean yes, and it's an affirmative yes, then you might as well just assume that it's a no. Okay, so I'm doing an essay on the topic catcalling. I would like to hear some feedback on that too. I got you. Silence isn't a yes. Correct. Silence isn't a yes. So sometimes people, they talk about, people freezing, and they talk about fight or flight, right? And what's left out sometimes is appeasing. So sometimes people will do things to appease a person or to just please them, even if that's not something that they want to do. But also people freeze sometimes and they don't know what to say. And so that's not an indicator that we should take that as a yes either, right? So yes, definitely silence isn't a yes. As far as catcalling, I'm not really sure what you want to know about it, but I can definitely share a poem if you're interested and want to hear a perspective about it. I had wrote about catcalling because I had some difficult thoughts and opinions wrapped around it when it comes to my own family, you know what I mean? And so and the men in my family and the stuff that they've done. So I'm just gonna share it with you. It's not too long of a poem, so I'll share it with you. And then after this, what we'll do is we'll get into the questions. So if you're just joining us, I put in a form, an anonymous form, if you all would like to ask questions about sex, relationships, body image, dating, then you can definitely do that. And if you have all those answers and you got it all figured out, you can just ask me questions about myself. And like I said, after this poem, there's also a gnat. Anybody who just joined, there's a gnat in my studio and I can't figure out why it's in here. But anyway, I will get to the questions. when it's done, when I finish with this poem in particular. But I want to give special attention to catcalling, um, in all of its unhealthy ways. A man is yelling something obscene out his car window one night, and I am stupid woman walking home alone, now holding my breath, knowing he thinks me something beautiful and meek or feisty. See my jawbone clenching, and that's probably what's got his penis hard. The women in my family are raising all the men born to us like gods, but as soon as we turn our backs, they behave like dogs without leashes or wedding rings. I hear him lick his lips, and suddenly all the men I know are apologizing for what they too have done to someone's daughter. I do not give him an eyebrow, a mouth twitch, a hot, a cold shoulder, just the corners of my eyes so he know I see him. Men are easily annoyed when we pretend not to see them. I used to think men are used to rejection, and then Mary Spears was killed for saying no, so maybe they aren't. I used to think women were used to being haunted, hounded. Then Janice Jackson was killed for ignoring Charles McKinney's advances, so maybe we aren't. Therefore, I am mindful of masculinity. I know to be this way because I call the oldest man in my family with the biggest and most fragile ego grandpa. When he honks his horn or blows me a kiss and calls me names I do not own, I wonder if he's bothering me because he's bored, or is this the way he catches everything he hunts? There are plenty of men who do things because they've been hurt and don't know what to do with their pain. One of them is my father. Therefore, there will always be men who have solutions and men who cause problems. Sometimes they are one and the same. When he drives away, when I'm safe and alive in my own body belonging to me, then and only then can I breathe. Um, so there's a fine line between catcalling and a pickup line. So I'm glad that you asked about that. There's a very, very thin line, and oftentimes it's crossed and comes about like in a very demeaning, embarrassing, unwanted, intrusive type of way, right? And it also, for a lot of, not just, I don't, this is going to maybe sound a little sexist, but you can correct me. I have not witnessed women catcalling men in a hetero sense, right? So that doesn't mean that it's not happening. I just might hang out with some people who have good hearts and good minds about them, and might be obviously going places where people have good hearts and good minds about them, and that's highly unlikely. But I haven't experienced it, so I'm not really sure. But um, yeah, catcalling is one of those things where a lot of times, when it happens specifically to women or people who are living their lives as women, or women presenting, it can definitely be, you know, scary for a lack of better words. Catcalling is a sensitive subject. Women are typically targets of it. Some kind of flattering, some find it flattering, some resent it. Will self-esteem have something to do with it? I think there's a plethora of reasons. I don't want to lean so heavily on self-esteem. I think that people who have different types of self-esteem issues or struggles, yeah, like they might like, want, or be used to, or find that kind of attention familiar. That doesn't make it healthy or right. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't make it healthy or right. But if they have some kind of self-esteem issue or struggle that they're dealing with, yes, that could have something to do with it. But also, I think that it might have to do with just the sheer fact of like fear, because there's a lot of people who are fearful that something might happen if they don't respond, or if they don't respond and something happens. It's just no way around it. I think catcalling is something very um, toxic trait, and instead of like focusing on the insecurities of someone else, I think we should like focus on the toxicity of the people that are doing it. So that's just my thoughts. I'm going to check out the anonymous questions and see what we have in there. Let's see. So far, we have 4 questions. So let's try to get to them. I cheated on my boyfriend twice. Oh my goodness. We are still together because he doesn't want to give up on us. That's great. But it has damaged our relationship. Rightfully so, right? Yeah, because when you cheat on someone or someone cheats on you, there's like a whole bridge of trust that needs to be relearned and established, and boundaries and conversation communication. And sometimes that does bring about certain fears and insecurities, like, oh, I thought we were committed to each other, what did I do? And sometimes the person that got cheated on takes that blame, and makes it seem like, they did something wrong, or they weren't doing something enough, or they weren't enough of the person that you possibly were looking for. Our dating life has changed, but our sex life remains good. Okay. However, what should I do as a person to make him feel better? Because I do want this to work as well. What is extremely impressive is that you cheated on your boyfriend twice. Not once, but twice, friend. Come on now. Now, I would have you observe if you really want to be in a relationship. This is just us talking, okay? Just person, human to human, right? Do you really want to be in a relationship, or do you like the security of having like a primary partner, but you like to dib and dabble in other situations, right? And so that's something to think about. Do you really want to be in a relationship? What kind of relationship do you want to have? And is this person um, meeting that? Because if you say this person isn't meeting all my needs, that's understandable, because no person that you're in a relationship with is going to meet all of your needs. It's actually impossible. So it's more like a compromise. It Are there things that this person does that, the good outweighs the bad, or the distracting, or the not so fulfilling, right? And just think about that. I think you all should definitely, if you have, I know a lot of schools offer therapy, so there might be like a couples session that y'all can do or something, to just kind of work some stuff out, because they might not feel comfortable enough to talk to you about what's all going on or what all they're thinking. And you all might be able to flesh some things out with a mediator present, right? So that way there can be some build of trust, and also like this idea that, hey, I really want to work on this, and here's some things in place. So kudos to you for like really wanting to get some advice and some tools in place. That's really dope. I also would maybe I guess maybe would maybe like suggest that you ask them what would make them feel better, or what you can do to show them that you're serious about the relationship, or that you want it to work, right? I think that that's really important to do, because, yeah, it's tough, friend. It's really, really tough. That's a tough position to be in. And I want you to like gain a lot of empathy and not ego. So sometimes they might say things that hurt your feelings because they're bringing it up, or they're still hurt about it. You like, dang, you still mad? And it's like, you cheated on me twice, right? So I don't know if you get a lot of room, but that doesn't mean that you aren't worthy of love, or that, people make mistakes all the time, y'all. Seriously. So twice is that's hard. The twice is hard, but I think you should maybe ask them what are some things that would make them feel better, or that you can do, because they were paying attention to certain things that you weren't when you were cheating, right? So next question. Why is the topic of sex so taboo? I think because there's a lot of shame wrapped around sex, and there's also a lot of interjections of religion and values and morals and other people's opinions on top of it, that create a lot of fear. And like I said, a lot of shame, where people have to hide something that everyone does, or a lot of people do, right? And have some type of, sexual experience, or chemistry, or attraction. And I think people oftentimes think the worst when it comes to sex, as a way to educate people, right? So they might say, oh, if you have sex, you'll have a baby and die, or something crazy, right? Um, but I mostly think that it's has a lot more to do with shame, um, and just like the whole idea that you can have sex, but it shouldn't be enjoyable unless, right? And all of those different reasons and values kind of make it murky. Third question: spending time in the internet and see more and more men being openly supportive and loving to their friends now. That's awesome. While the comments may be crude, but men are okay saying this to each other in an effort to support and love them. Hmm. What might have caused men to feel okay to act like this and take down some of their walls? Um, if you're seeing this more and more openly, especially on the internet or social media, what we know and different studies have shown, so I'm not making this up, that people are a lot more confident and comfortable via social media, especially when they're behind a keyboard or they're holding their phones in their hands to say or express things that they are, feeling or just have to say. So I think that might be why. I think also like we're in the era of like Drake and other men who share their feelings and emotions, regardless of how like toxic or unhealthy it could be. And there's also like all these different shows out right now, right? Like where men are at the barbershop or they're having like these roundtable conversations, and then the viewers get to kind of get like a little peek into what they're thinking. And then lastly, I think men have been taught for a very long time, or maybe since the beginning of patriarchy, that they can only have one emotion or two emotions, right? Which is like happy or mad, or they just ready for sex, right? And so, or they have to go into protective mode. And those is just like what they can do, but it's actually a healthy thing to be able to express multiple forms of emotions because people have multiple emotions and that's okay, right? And so I think that, since they have all these different platforms and they're seeing peers or people that they admire, idolize doing it or having these conversations, they're going to do it. But it doesn't mean that they necessarily know how to have those conversations, or it doesn't mean that they don't need someone to help them navigate and mediate those conversations and kind of be like, oh, hey, you went too far, or hey, that here's why that's not okay. And I think we need more men that can hold each other accountable rather than being absolved, right? Because a lot of people are just ready to be absolved of the things that they've done that are wrong or that aren't okay, or that they can be better at. So, you know, instead of just like wanting to go ahead and be absolved, we should really work on the accountability piece. Last question. Let's see. Oh, where did it go? Got it. Why did my son's father get me pregnant and leave me for another woman? This is the question. And try to come back after I had my baby. Now, this is gonna sound so silly, but you know how some people be like new fools? They're just foolish individuals, and then they grow up a little bit, or some time passes, and they become old fools, right? Regret is a part of that, and so I'm assuming that you all both decided to get pregnant, or you both were, or a part of that action. It wasn't just that he got you pregnant, right? But you both were a part of that action, but them going out and leaving you or being with another woman is really has nothing to do with you. As much as people want it to be about, them as the individual, what did I do or what could I have done? Um, that person has to deal with the stuff that they chose to do, right? And the decisions that they made. And so while I don't have any particular, like reason why, because there could be a plethora of reasons. I'll tell you, like I told the other person, ask them why. And if they have the language, cool. But I want you to also realize that sometimes they might say something that won't even matter, right? Because it won't be acceptable to you. So even if they have the best reason in their mind, it still might not be enough for you. Them coming back after you have your baby, they might, like I said, realize that they made a mistake and want a family, or have all these different ideas of what a family can mean. And it kind of also goes back to what I was talking about earlier, in the different ways that we've learned to love this person, your ex or your baby's father, is definitely like sounding like they might have got some bad information from their parents or their caregivers, and saw some things that might have made them think like this is okay, or these are the ways to be, right? And so they're working with what they have. So a lot of stuff that they've had happen to them is affecting how they treat and work with or be around or connect to other people. So um, that's really how that works. I'm sorry that you dealt with that, and yeah, that's really really hard, really really hard. But I think if you decide to be with them, cool. If you don't, cool. And that's the real question. So the visuals are of some people's weaknesses. Do you think it matters in a relationship? Um, I'm not sure what this is in reference to, so maybe we should go back a little bit and somebody can tell me what they mean. In the meantime, here's what I'll say. This is pretty much the end of the show, y'all. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I know you could have been doing anything else and you might actually be doing something else, but I really appreciate you all kicking it with me for just a little bit of time that we had. If you want to follow me on social medias and all that other kind of good jazz, just Google me. It's much easier to just Google me. And that's Ebony Stewart, Ebony, Ebony with a Y, the OG way, the magazine way, and then Stewart like Stu Art, like I'm a steward of art. I know people think that I made that up, but it's actually my real last name. So you can Google me, and then we can stay in touch some other kind of way. But if you have other questions, you're more than welcome to DM me in other platforms if I didn't get to your question or something comes to mind later. But I appreciate you. Thank you so much, Bakersfield College, for having me this evening. We'll see you next time.
Yep. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. Thank you for everyone joining on Zoom and on our social media sites. Everyone, please come back on Thursday. We do have our final distinguished speaker, Barry Scheck. He's an attorney, DNA expert, and co-founder of the Innocence Project. So please come by. He'll be on live at Zoom at 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. We look forward to seeing you all. Have a good night.